Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer 40K podcast. We're gonna blow your mind with some Ferrus Manus lore tonight. We're doing another Primarch series. I love these ones. This is the 10th one of these that we've done. We're halfway through. It's been very fun, very informative. I love learning about all the different ways people can lose their heads in 40K. So it's gonna be a fun episode. Joining me, Christian, what's good, man?
Hey, feel like I haven't been here in a while. Excited to dive into the Iron Hands Primarch.
Yeah, we're joking before the show. You were dodging me because of all the geography.
Geography.
Yeah. But hey, you're a man for Iron Hands, so here you are. We also got Jordan on.
Hello.
Do you like hands made of iron or?
I yet to be decided.
Okay.
We'll see if I do. I'm definitely not as familiar with Ferrus Manus. I'm not gonna lie. I do believe he's like one of the lesser known, lesser talked about Primarchs, which is all the more reason to talk about him.
Yeah, I think that's a very good analysis so far. He definitely is one of the ones that is kind of under the radar, ahead below everyone else, some would say.
Are you going to do this the whole episode? Because I'll quit right now.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, Ferrus Manus, I got some rants on him. I got some ideas on him.
Do you know anyone who has an Iron Hands chapter? Like anyone?
I was reaching out to people and no one seemed to have one that I knew.
I'm not sure I've ever seen one, but
yeah,
I've a lot of people online.
Yeah, a lot of people say they're like one of those chapters. It's like the White Scars too, where like they exist. We know they exist, but no one seems to be playing them. So it's weird.
Yeah. Like I don't even think they have a named character or anything. They might have one nowadays.
They do now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. New Terminator one, and they have the Primaris one too. They got a couple.
Okay.
Definitely newer. Like in old, they were definitely neglected in old 40K for sure.
Yeah. Well, before we get into this episode, just some quick housekeeping. Come join the Discord. There's all types of fun things happening there. I'm working on another type of kind of Discord event. I don't want to say too much, but come check out the Discord because we're rocking and rolling. There's going to be another fun Discord-wide event that everyone can kind of get involved with. And I don't know, maybe you decide the fate of a sector. Maybe the winner will be my friend for a week. I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. But come join the Discord to get involved.
Yeah, and while you're there, you might as well go by and visit Patreon and throw a couple bucks at the show. Help us keep it going. Join it. The Imperial Tithe. The Emperor needs you. We need you. Everyone needs you. You can get an ad-free version of the show for only $2.50 or a video version for $5.
And if you are a member of the Patreon, you can also jump in the live stream. We do these live streams every episode. You can join the chat with us, and we also do call-in guests at the end of the episode. And of course, when I'm on, you can always join me for Whiskey and Warhammer, but not today because it's Sober October today, guys. So we're doing Coke Zero.
Coke Zero. Not even the real stuff, the zero. Wow, good for you. Wow. I tried Sober October one time, and I lasted about 15 minutes before I'm like, I gotta go smoke some weed. And yeah, then the day was good. This episode, we got some Ferrus Manus, Primarch of the Iron Hands, a blacksmithing brother to Fuzz, he says there in the comments. This episode, we're going to be covering his history, his home world, his youth. We'll talk about when he gets... when the Emperor meets him, the arrival of the Emperor and the Iron Hands, and then we'll talk about kind of the Great Crusade, what he gets up to, a couple incidents that I thought were worth note, and then we'll talk about his personality. We'll talk about the Dauntless Few. I've never heard of this before, and this is one of those little lore introductions I can't wait to talk about. I have some hot takes, but we'll dive into his appearance after that and some war gear options, both for himself and he's a gift giver. His love language is acts of service for the Emperor and giving gifts. So, yeah, we'll get into all that. It's going to be good.
Gifts of lead to the face.
Yeah.
That's Jordan's preferred way to show his love.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into Ferrus Manus and the Primarch Project. They shall be my sons, and in them will live the hopes of a unified humanity. Theirs will be the strength to prevail, not only when victory lies within easy reach, but even when it seems unattainable. When doom settles like a shroud all about, in those times of darkness, my noble sons will shine the brightest of all. Attributed to the Emperor of Mankind. The Primarchs were 20 transhuman sons of the Emperor of Mankind, wrought in secret during the late 30th millennium. They were conceived to be more than men, immortal generals, flawless warriors, and unerring governors, instruments to reunite a scattered humanity beneath their father's command. From their genes, the Emperor would craft his 20 Space Marine legions, each a living weapon to extend his will across the stars. Engineered for perfection, each Primarch surpassed any ordinary human in strength, speed, intellect, and resilience. Disease, age, mortal frailty were denied them. Their presence inspired devotion and terror alike. Each embodied an aspect of war, a single pillar of strategy, terror, psychic mastery, or fortification, and together they would be the Emperor's hammer and shield, reclaiming lost worlds and imposing his order upon a fractured galaxy. Yet the ruinous powers intervened, tearing the Primarchs from their father's care and casting them across the warp to alien and hostile worlds. There, each child grew in isolation, molded by the harshness of their environment and the cruelty of circumstance. Even these superhuman instruments of destiny were still men, and in the end, it was their all too human flaws, pride, doubt, anger, that would imperil the Emperor's vision, casting a shadow over the Great Crusade and the fate of mankind.
The classic story of the Primarch Project. We've heard it many times. I like that quote with the Emperor, though.
Yeah, I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, I hadn't either until I wrote it down here. Maybe I made it up and attributed it to him. Hard to know, but either way, great quote. Yeah, the Primarchs, there's 20 of them. Like I said at the beginning, we're on Primarch 5, so you guys kind of know the drill at this point. Or Primarch 10, I mean. And yeah, there's still ways to go, but these 20 sons that go on a great crusade, go out into the galaxy and conquer in the name of the Emperor.
Absolutely. And let's get into the Legiones Astartes. The Space Marine Legions, or Legiones Astartes in High Gothic, were the firstborn warriors of the Emperor of Mankind, forged in the fires of Terra during the first founding around 730. They were wrought as instruments of war, perfected flesh and steel to strike down the enemies of humanity and impose order upon a galaxy still sundered by chaos and barbarism. The first founding predated the Great Crusade, occurring while the Unification Wars still raged across Terra, unlike the Space Marines of the 41st millennium, who now serve primarily as rapid strike or planetary assault forces. The Legiones Astartes of the Great Crusade were the Imperium's hammer on the front lines. They fought where worlds burned and empires shattered, bearing the burden of humanity, survival while the Imperial army stood in their shadow, a supporting scaffold of mortal men. Their role would not endure. With the second founding in the time of rebirth during the 31st millennium, the Astra Militarum assumed the mantle of the Imperium's primary fighting force. The Legiones Astartes were recast, no longer the first wave of mankind's wrath, but a sharpened edge, a vanguard to be wielded, where the Emperor's reach demanded. Their legacy, both immortal and mournful, a testament to the age of giants that had passed. So, like, I mean, this is really the time period that the Space Marines sort of achieve almost this demigod-like status in the galaxy. Now I'm wondering, and maybe from the notes, I don't know if it's totally implied, but like, do they kind of lose a bit of that edge when you get into the 41st millennium, where they're not quite viewed that highly as they are in the 31st?
I think you almost got it. Like, I think it's not. I think it's almost different. Like, it's not more highly. It's just different. Like, it's more religious. Where in 30K it's way more secular. But the other big thing is, like, yeah, there might be a difference between the 30K and the 40K Marines. We got 10,000 years of genetic degradation.
Right.
So like, yeah, like they probably might like be worse off than the ones 30,000 or 10,000 years before. So yeah, there might be a little bit of people like that might know that and kind of judge them, but even how would they know? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably like a bit of a shock and novelty when they first come out too,
Sure, yeah.
compared to
And
when they've been around the galaxy for 10,000 years.
Yeah, just imagine they first come out and they start sweeping across the galaxy, and the Xenos are murmuring that the humans are, conquering planet after planet. But yeah, it's different now. In 30K, they don't have as much power, it seems. Again, they're not in Legion form too, so they don't have the numbers and all that kind of stuff. So we'll jump into Ferrus Manus with that little bit of context about the Primarch project and the Legiones Astartes. So Ferrus Manus, called the Gorgon, was the Primarch of the Iron Hands Legion, a being of iron will and tragic purpose. A master of the forge, he shaped wonders of war that embody both art and annihilation. His hands, sheathed in living metal, were tools of divine industry, needing no hammer, no flame. With strength alone, he bent molten steel to his will, crafting order from chaos. Yet even iron can fracture. The brotherhood he forged with Fulgrim, tempered but in mutual respect, was broken upon the anvil of betrayal, leaving only silence, steel, and the echo of what was lost. His pod would come to land on the cold, barren planet of Medusa, forever changing the fate of the planet. Yeah, Ferrus Manus, for anyone who doesn't know their high Gothic, it just literally is like iron hands. Like Ferrus is iron in Latin, I believe, eh?
Ferrum, yeah.
Ferrum, okay.
Yeah, it's the pseudo-Latin, like 40K doesn't use. Sometimes it uses real Latin, sometimes it's not quite Latin.
I believe Ferrus, doesn't that just mean iron in Latin? Like the actual word Ferrus?
Ferrum, with an M.
No, there's like the word ferrus as
Ferrus
well, but
is
spelled
English.
differently.
Yeah, ferrus is an English word derived from the Latin ferrum.
Are you sure? I thought it was
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong.
Latin word.
Sure. Yeah, ferrum is a Latin root. Ferrus is like something that's metallic described in English. Yeah. But
it comes from
the Latin word ferrum.
Okay, I'll look it up later. But
okay,
and then we got Manus, which is like just
hands,
four-limb hands, like bang on naming GW for sure.
Once again,
it makes me wonder. Like we'll get into his origin story here, but when did he get his name? At one point, he did not have iron hands.
Yeah,
what was his name then?
This is like Corvus Corax all over again.
Oh goddamn!
All right. Well, let's get into his early life on the planet that he landed on. Maybe we'll discover what came first, the boy or the name. Medusa, a frozen, scarcely habitable world, several times the size of Terra, lurked in the remote void of the Segmentum Obscurus. Medusa, the fourth planet of the supergiant Sethenolus, a star known only in the fragmented astrocharts of lost humanity, was a place of shadow and steel. In the dim ages of high technology, Mechanicum records speak of Medusa as a crucible of labor. Its frozen depths mined by unceasing engines of iron and fire, its treasures hoarded beneath the vigilance of sleepless sentinels. When the age of strife engulfed the stars in blood and fire, Medusa did not vanish into oblivion as so many human domains did. It endured in legend, a monument of wealth and purpose unclaimed by chaos. The origins of its settlers are unclear. Fragments of ancient colonists, remnants of broken starships, and sublight sleeper craft adrift since the fall of Mars. These survivors, thrust into a world of fractured terrain, poisoned skies, and lifeless soil, hardened into techno-barbaric tribes. Nomadic and brutal, they adapted to a land where mountains rose and fell in seasons, and seas could vanish with a single quake. They preserved the dim embers of the cult Mechanicus, a patchwork of weapon-making rites and cybernetic knowledge, but lost all art of civilization beyond bare survival.
They're like food? Nah. Agriculture? Don't eat it.
We eat metal and we make metal. They formed roving clans atop colossal land crawlers, relics of STC design, from which raiding parties scoured the wastelands. Slavery, slaughter, and unending combat were their inheritance. The strongest alone endured in an existence carved from frost and stone. When the fleets of the Great Crusade surged beyond the Segmentum Solar, Medusa's legend drew them as a lodestar. Its position, however, had become uncertain. Alone and adrift in the warp, a Mechanicum scout ship finally breached this Thenelus system, discovering a world both mythic and desolate. That thing about like driving around in giant colossal land crawlers reminds me, what's that show about the cities that are like on wheels and they eat each other?
Yeah, I know what you're
Know
talking
what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of
that's
what I'm picturing.
Yeah, cool environment. We also made like a world like that too. I don't know if you were on that episode where we did the Necromunity and we built a bunch of hive cities and they were moving around the planet to avoid the frozen zone. But yeah, these giant land crawlers are super cool. I was trying to find some artwork for them, and the closest I could get was kind of like squat land trains, but like not quite.
Not quite the same, yeah.
No.
And for those unfamiliar with STCs, what does that stand for again?
Standard template
construct. Yeah. Yeah. So these are like big machines that were, it's almost like 3D printing, but like way more advanced. Like they can produce very specialized equipment. So like you could have an STC for like nuclear reactors, or an STC that builds cars or builds guns or builds anything you can think of. And a lot of them were scattered and lost during the dark age of technology, but they seem to have these relic STCs that help them build these giant like land crawlers.
Yeah, they'd be so cool, these things, these little mobile cities.
Yeah. The inner system was a graveyard. Shattered voidcraft, drifting planetoids, and silicate clouds drifting in the cold. Medusa itself bore the ruin of the Telstarax, the legendary orbital ring that had harvested its wealth. Twisted wreckage tumbled toward the frozen surface, and ancient defenses, malfunctioning yet lethal, still lingering amongst the debris. The warp runner endured and compelled by memory and purpose. High above the planet, it pierced the murk with Auspex light, revealing a world of fractured ice scarred by impact and tectonic fury. Its mines exhausted, its surface a lattice of craters and frozen chasms. Yet amid its desolation, signals persisted. Distorted tech cant, half-human Vox traffic, the faint heat signatures of massive machines slowly crawling across the tundra, carrying the last flickers of humanity. Medusa's age of technological glory had decayed into ruin and scavenged stone, and yet beneath the ice, amid the iron and ash, the warp runner's sensors detected a singular, unparalleled relic of that forgotten epoch. It found a Primarch.
Ooh. Yeah, so this planet's just like cut off completely. They're just scanning it. They don't know what's down there really. They're finding like odd little flickers. Yeah, just some like archaeotech guys probably trying to find some ancient tech that they can salvage.
Yeah, it's a really cool world because it's also like everything about it is like lethal, both from like the people, the wreckage of things like raining down, and then like it's super geologically active too. So yeah, like whole mountain ranges can collapse, like ocean levels will rise and consume islands, like
glaciers will freeze and melt and all that kind of stuff. Really like revealing new secrets hidden in the ice, like all types of cool.
It seems like a really cool world just to explore. It'd be like a very cool what do you call it, space mining operation. I'm thinking of the video game there, dwarfs, whatever.
Deep Rock
Galactic. Thank you.
Yeah, the chat's saying Frost and Stone. Did I hear Frost and Stone on this planet? Yes.
Okay, so his youth. At the birth of the Imperium, before the fires of the Great Crusade had been kindled, the Emperor's 20 sons were torn from his grasp and hurled into the void. The ruinous powers, in their spite, scattered the Primarchs through the warp, casting their gene-forged cradles across a galaxy already darkening. From this first wound, the theft of his children, the seeds of heresy were sown, the machinery of betrayal grinding long before the first blade was drawn. One such capsule fell upon the storm-racked world of Medusa, near the Eye of Terror, its descent carving a wound into the planet's flesh. It struck the mountain Karashi, the ice pinnacle, shattering its peak and scattering the world with molten ruin. The impact thundered across Medusa. Mountains crumbled, chasms split, and the planet trembled as it feared what had come to rest upon it.
What a fucking entry, hey? Maybe you could.
Does the entrance of presumably are they fully grown when they
No,
get
they're little babies.
Yeah, like a baby Primarch is like sending the planet into a tailspin. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
Don't
I
underestimate
just
the
picture
power of babies.
I picture kind of like Lord of the Rings when Barad-dûr gets destroyed there, and the way it kind of like implodes sideways and shoots out. Like I picture the drop pod kind of causing that same like just what an entry.
Years passed before the child within the ice emerged, fully grown, unbroken, and forged by solitude. The Medusans named him Ferrus Manus, or Iron Hand, and their legends spoke of a silent wanderer who strode from the northern waste, steel-eyed and inexorable. Among the clans, he became a mythic figure, the Gorgon who united their scattered tribes through strength and mastery. What he shared of his origins was little. His silence was as immovable as the metal he shaped. Scholars later compared his harsh world to Vulcan's nocturne. But Medusa was colder, its people harder, its mercy thinner. So again, like kind of a typical theme among Primarchs. They sort of become the chosen one on whatever planet they land on and become the leader, blah, blah, blah. So
yeah.
The tales tell that he fell not among men, but in the haunted north, where spirits and machine corpses of forgotten wars lay buried beneath black ice. From the wasteland, the myths say, Ferrus fought monsters of iron and storm, his deeds echoing through generations. The greatest of these spoke of Acernoth, the silver worm, a deathless engine of living metal. To destroy it, Ferrus lured the beast into a river of molten rock and held it there until it died. Its quicksilver skin melted into his flesh, fusing with his hands and forearms. Thus, the Gorgon marked forever his touch, both creator and destroyer. His hands, the emblem of his strength and his curse. And he slays the dragon, hero's journey.
Have you read this before, Jordan? I thought you didn't read the notes. Yeah. Well, it is funny. This is where we kind of get to, I always start ranting or raving every time we do Primarchs. Like, we have the two versions of Primarchs. We have the old mythical Primarchs from 20 years ago where we didn't know any. We didn't have the Horus Heresy books. And back then, we didn't even know the name of this dragon that he fought. We got this very, loose little bit of information. The perfect myth, man. He fights this metallic dragon, drowning it in magma. And it comes out with silver hands that can shapeshift and mold things and are unbreakable. Pretty cool. But then, we get the novels and then they have to write about that. And, we used to speculate for the longest time that was Necrodermis and it was the Satan. It was a void dragon probably that he fought. But now we know it probably wasn't. It was Acernoth, whatever the fuck that is. I feel like with Ferrus Manus, man, here's kind of my little jamboree with him. Like you said at the beginning, Jordan, there's not a lot on him because he meets a quick end. He goes quick. Won't tell you how yet. But because of that, in the myth, we had older lore where there was really nothing about him. We knew who he was. We knew he was from Medusa, and we knew he died in the Horus Heresy really quick. And it was that myth that we don't really know a whole lot. We knew Fulgrim does something to him, blah, blah, blah. But as they write more books, they flesh more out, and they try to put in a bunch of stuff and expand. And this is one of those examples, another example of them trying to expand is with him having solo information, they tried to like appease the Iron Hands players by adding information. At one point, they talk about in the Horus Heresy books, Ferrus Manus being probably the second pick to Horus for War Master, which is pretty fucking weird in my mind.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It's like they're trying to appease or trying to like put stuff in where he already had the perfect lore. His lore is already written. He was a guy who fought a dragon and died. And then they try to put a bunch of these weird things in and take away the mystery, as GW often does, and leaves us unsatisfied. There's my rant.
I mean, that is weird. I guess maybe I'll have to read more about him as we go through. But there's like, I feel like there's 3 or 4 other candidates who would be the second to Horus, who could be the second or the replacement of Horus or what have you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just one of those things where all of a sudden they tried, like, Ferrus Manus is apparently really well respected too by everyone else. And it's like, it's one of those things where from the old lore point of view, like, but how he's cold and calculated and probably not very friendly. I don't know. Probably not a conversationalist. I would not imagine him to be. But yeah, like, no, apparently he's really well respected by all of them. Like, they just really fluffed him up because they killed him.
Yeah. You have to make his death in novel format. If you're going to kill a character, you got to make it meaningful, right? If you kill a nobody with no name and no face and no history, you're not really attached. So the death means nothing. Yeah. So in order to make his death impactful, they have to flesh him out to be more impactful in his life. But then that kind of like, did they go too far with that? And like you said, try to like appease certain groups at the expense of others. Yeah. And that's also
just fill in lore that they should not be filling in.
Like,
we should also know what this dragon is.
The inconsistency between authors too, right? Where like if they hire you to write a certain book about a certain Primarch and he's your favorite Primarch, you're always going to write him like, oh yeah, he was second best and everyone loved him. And then I'm going to write my Primarch and I'm like, well, mine was second best and everyone loved him, right? Like that's where that starts to pile up too.
I love it. So keep your eye out for that. I'll point it out as we get to a couple other offenses that the authors have made with him.
I will say, Mark, it isn't discounted whether or not Azernoth was a Necron, Catan, or anything like that. That's still very much a viable theory.
Sure.
Which for the longest time, that's what people wondered. That was the assumption they made, right? Like, oh, Necrodermis sounds a lot like this what's living. On, yeah, this living metal. This you think like Terminator to, that liquid metal that's like alive, right?
Yeah,
that's still very much in play, I think.
You're right. Like,
but I agree with you 100%. Everything else you said, going back and fleshing out the mythology kind of robs the mythic part of the stories. Right? Yeah, like sometimes you just want to live with the myth. You don't want to know the nitty gritty details, or whether or not that was actually a lie, or confirm or disprove certain theories that people had. Like,
yeah. It's not the most egregious. You're right. Like, it still can fit for sure. Cool hands though. Pretty cool. Drowns his fucking dragon in lava. Yeah, heck yeah. The Warlord of Medusa. When the Gorgon emerged from the fractured wastes of the Medusa, he came not as a savior, but a force of remorseless order. Yeah, like when you read that, he doesn't seem like the social type that the other Primarchs will be like, yeah, I love that guy. Like, the clans, long scattered and warring, beheld him as a god of iron and storm, yet Ferrus Manus sought no worship, only obedience. Those who defied his command would ground beneath his will, for he believed strength was the only law worth keeping. He did not bring peace to Medusa, he reforged it through conflict. To the Iron Fathers, those grim keepers of machine and spirit, he offered his knowledge, demanding in return the ancient secrets they hoarded. Under his hand, the forges of Medusa roared anew, birthing sharper blades, stronger engines, and warriors tempered by struggle and steel. With the fiercest of these warriors, Ferrus descended into the frozen depths, tearing open the vaults of the dread ages buried beneath the ice. There, among shattered machine works and silent horrors, they battled rusted abominations, mutants of flesh and wire, and the cold-hearted relics of the forgotten wars. From ruin, they've claimed metal, fire, and memory, raising Medusa from decay through toil and blood. By the time the Emperor came for him, Ferrus Manus stood as a warlord and a Smith King, his people bound by strength and fear alike. It is said that he did not kneel in wonder when his father appeared, only nodded, as if the Gorgon had always known his maker and the long-awaited summons of his destiny. Yeah, very no nonsense. Like him and Porto I think would not get along because I don't think these people have fun. But you know,
they're both very much alike, but also would not
yeah,
be best friends either because
no,
of that. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say too. Was like, you see, kind of again, though. I hate to beat a dead horse here, but like the whole nature nurture, like the Primarchs landing on planets that you either shape them or by happenstance landed on planets that would be like them. But yeah, in Ferrus Manus's case, like cold metal machine characteristics are also kind of how the planet is, right? Like they are very much like might makes right as a society, like brutal, but not in like a savage way, but like in a cold, like if you're too weak to live, we'll leave you to die, like you're not worth saving kind of attitude, right? Like
yeah, it's not just like bloodshed in the streets.
Yeah,
like
it's
there's
like
probably honor duels and stuff, but yeah, it's not like that savage, like you said. It's still controlled.
Yeah, but it is still like brutal and like unforgiving, and especially around the idea of weakness. And you'll see this pop up a lot stronger later on when it comes to the weakness of flesh. But that's where you can see the roots of both his and his personality type, right? Like he's very much to the point. He's like very, he doesn't care about like dancing around stuff. He's like very direct, and the same as his demeanor is the way that everything else, right?
Yeah, like this planet, like there was no aliens that he had to fight off. There was no mutants that he had to fight off. He's just other people that he wanted to fight.
Yeah.
Let's all just fight.
And the environment.
Yeah. Gotta wake up and curse the sun every day.
Yeah.
All right, let's delve more into the arrival of the Emperor. When the Primarch of the 10th Legion was found, he was already a conqueror, a god of steel and storm ruling the shattered plains of Medusa. Amongst the first of the Emperor's lost sons to be reclaimed, Ferrus Manus took to the Great Crusade with unflinching purpose. His was not the joy of reunion, but the grim satisfaction of a function fulfilled. Like a craftsman at his forge, he accepted his role without question, his loyalty expressed in labor and destruction. The Emperor gave him command of the 10th Legion, and Ferrus dismantled it without hesitation, stripping away weakness, tradition, and sentiment alike. With the precision of an artificer and the cruelty of necessity, he rebuilt the Legion in his image, efficient, merciless, and unbending as cold iron. From the beginning, Ferrus Manus fused Medusa with his Legion, wielding the planet's brutal culture to the disciplined machinery of the Astartes. The clans of the Terran brothers who forced to become one, not by unity of spirit, by the hammer of blows of his will. The Legion's chapters were reforged into clans, their hierarchies shattered and reforged in blood. The Medusans learned to serve the Iron Hands as their new lords, and the Iron Hands learned to master through ceaseless struggle. Under Ferrus's command, Medusa was not softened by imperial rule. It was hardened further, its forges stoked by suffering, its people made into raw material for war. Yeah, so again, you have like how the Primarchs kind of in line with the personalities of how they conquer. Like Gulliman takes a civilization and he builds on it. He creates like a grand civilization. Ferrus doesn't care about that stuff. He's like, oh, okay, our purpose is a war. Then I will forge all of my society to that task. We will continue with this like strength-based society and double down on it to make stronger soldiers and stronger warriors and stronger Astartes.
The Emperor's like, we're in the age of enlightenment. We have nice things. It's like, nah.
No, I'm just a sword. I'm just a hammer. Use me as a hammer. Yeah. But yeah, that's how he rules, right? And that's who he is. And the other thing too is, again, you have that like infusing of, and we'll probably get more deep into it with the actual Legion discussion, but you have that fusing of when a Primarch is discovered of the Terran-born version of the Marines, and then the home world of whatever Primarch's Marines kind of coming together, and that sorting out of like, okay, well, what now? And then once again, in this case, Ferrus is like, okay, I'm going to deconstruct the Legion and rebuild it how I want it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's interesting, like what happens with his Legion for sure. Like with their whole mentality of I just don't want to spoil it. We'll get to it later in the episode of just how they like to do certain things that are quite opposite of what their Primarch actually wants them to be doing. I'll leave that little teaser.
Yeah. And then one more quick thing is how early Ferrus Manus was actually discovered in the Great Crusade.
Yeah.
And that also, I guess, reflects, and again, this will come up a little bit later, but his ardent loyalty. Like he is one of the most loyal Primarchs as well.
Yeah. I feel like this was another way they tried to give him a little more prestige by making him the third one found. Where like, yeah, we didn't know that way back in the day. But yeah, it just gives him that much more like, oh yeah, he's been around for 200 years. Yeah, just a little more to him.
Yeah, and that would make sense for him to be closer with people like Horus and with the Emperor, and with whatever early found Primarchs are, right? Because then he has that much more time to spend with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Ferrus Manus did not seek to ease his world's burdens. He preserved its cruelty, believing that only through pain could strength endure. The weak would perish, the strong would be tempered into steel. To feed his legion's ranks, he demanded tithes from conquered worlds, youths taken as offerings to Medusa's trials, where survival itself was a form of worship. Those who lived became aspirants, their blood carrying forward the world's harsh creed. Thus the Iron Hands were reborn, a legion without pity, forged in the furnace of the dead world's endurance. And in their heart, as in their fathers, there was no warmth, only the cold certainty of purpose. And where my hand shall strike, the foes of mankind shall be laid waste. So shall I be the hammer of the Emperor, and I shall never tire. Attributed to Ferrus Manus before the Battle of Kar Madoc. Yeah, like I said, he sees himself as a weapon. He sees his purpose as very black and white. It's like almost like the engineering, like the precision of an engineer with like, okay, we're building an engine, like get rid of anything that's like unnecessary, artistic, like we just want this thing to work as efficiently as possible.
Yeah. Fuzz has this comment: I could see that a no-nonsense attitude making him respected, but not necessarily loved by his brothers. But maybe his attitude changes when he meets the other Primarchs. But yeah, no, that's maybe a good way to look at it. It's not so much that he was liked; it was more that he was respected, I suppose. And maybe that he's not like disliked. Like I don't ever recall any of them disliking him. He even made friends like with Fulgrim and stuff eventually. But yeah. Respect, that's probably the better word of how the Primarchs look at him.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into the Legion, the Iron Hands. And we'll start with a quote here. Rest? We were not made to rest. We go on, unflinching, unstoppable, unending in our strength. The Emperor did not make us for such mortal concerns as hearth and home, vanity or contemplation. We are his engines of war, his hammers, beating out the fabric of existence into a vessel fit for mankind's to inhabit. Sorry. End quote. Ferrus Manus, as quoted in The Shadow of the Gorgon by the Remembrancer Cizel Aternus. The Iron Hands emerged as the 10th Legion, forged by the Emperor to carry his light to the scattered worlds of humanity, hardened in purpose and steeled in body. They became the embodiment of cold resolve, relentless, unyielding, and feared by all who opposed the Great Crusade. Their strikes decisive, their judgment absolute, and their fury a hammer upon the darkness that clung to humanity's lost corners. At the heart of the Legion stood Ferrus Manus, the Gorgon, whose hands shaped steel as easily as he shaped men, a master of war and smithing alike. His will was the law of the 10th Legion. Under his command, the Iron Hands became more than soldiers. They were extensions of his unbending resolve, a living monument to the union of flesh and forged metal. Their loyalty to the Emperor was unshakable, their purpose singular, to reclaim mankind and bind it under the Imperium's rule. Yet, even in their devotion, the Legion embraced a harsh truth. Human flesh is weak, fragile, and fleeting. They sought to transcend it, replacing bone and sinew with iron and servo mechanisms, echoing the austere creed of the cult Mechanicus. In their stoic pursuit of perfection, the Iron Hands became something more than human, something both tragic and terrible. A machine-tempered mirror of their Primarch, forged in steel and fire, yet ever haunted by the mortality they had forsaken. So they just kind of are embodiment of their Primarch, more or less.
Yeah. They're like, those are some cool hands, buddy. Us too.
Yeah.
Chops them off. Yikes. Yeah, that's the obsession. And this is where it gets fun, where Ferrus Manus actually does not like this kind of obsession that they start getting. And I feel like if Ferrus Manus seen him in 40K, he would be like, whoa, like some of you aren't even human anymore. Like you're all bionic except for maybe a brain or like a heart or something crazy. I have this quote. It's pretty long, but this is almost another one of these interesting things that they've tried to do with Ferrus Manus to just give him some more flavor, where he's so adamantly against himself and also the Iron Hands. These are not my hands. This fact is forgotten by my brothers. Inexplicably, it has always seemed to me. These hands are strong, to be sure, and have created great things for all of us, but they are not mine, and that counts for something. They forgot that the silver on my arms comes from a beast that I vanquished. It is the mark of a great evil that I have ended, and yet it persists within me. I would struggle to remove it now. I will not remove the silver from my flesh because I have learned to depend on it. The fault is within my own mind. I rely on the augmentation given to me by the metal gauntlets, so much so that the flesh beneath them is now little more than a distant memory. A day will come when I strip it from me, lest I lose the power to master myself forever. Already my Legion's warriors replace their shield hands with metal in my honor, and so they too are learning to doubt their natural strength of their bodies. They must be weaned off this practice before it becomes a mania for them. Hatred of what is natural or what is human is the first and greatest of corruptions. So I record it here. When it comes time, I will strip my hands of their unnatural silver. I will instruct my legion to recant their distrust of the flesh. I will turn them away from the gifts of the machine and bid them relearn the mysteries of the flesh, bone, and blood. When my father's crusade is over, this shall be my sacred task. When the fighting is done, I shall cure my legion and myself. For if the fighting is all there is, if we may never pause to reflect on such devotion to strength, if we may never pause to reflect on what such devotion to strength is doing to us, then our compulsion will only grow. The Nimriel scrolls attributed to Primarch Ferrus Manus. Yeah, like that makes it pretty clear how he feels about the whole gimmick of the Iron Hands. The whole thing about them.
Yeah. And for clarification, you did mention it, Mark, but just to be absolutely clear, like as this mania grows within the Legion, they kind of go full Mechanicus with it. You never go full Mechanicus.
Never go full Mechanicus.
Yeah. You know, where they're like tearing out all their flesh, right? It goes beyond just the hands. They're just replacing anything and everything. Like they truly believe that the flesh is weak, and so they get obsessed with replacing everything with bionics and metal. And just like the Mechanicus. And like it turns out that Ferrus Manus really didn't want that at all.
Yeah, like what's the point of all this if you're just gonna remove yourself from humanity? You know, like if that's the direction we go, what's the point of all of it, man? You can't feel nothing. There's no joy. There's no hope. There's like, you're not reproducing in normal ways. It's all just fucked if you go down that route. So yeah, you can easily see why like he doesn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of can almost, it almost feels like they're becoming a different species.
Exactly.
Which is heresy. Or it's like a Necron. You know how the Necron are, or something like that. it's like you're no longer human. You're just some sort of cybernetic
robot.
freak show.
Yeah.
Yeah, further to that point, damn it, it's gone. It was like on the tip of my brain and I was typing at the same time and then I lost it.
You need more Monster energy drinks than you.
It's true. That's why. Clearly, I'm just distracted. I hate the weakness of blood. I prefer to pump it out and replace it with Monster energy. Oh no, yeah, that's actually, that did remind me. What I was gonna say here. Yeah, that culture again of like strength was strength in self, right? Like that is the kind of strength that Ferrus was actually, and the Medusan original society was towards, right? Like the way he describes his hands as a curse, as something he became dependent on, and dependency equals weakness. If you listen to our Star Wars podcast about Sith philosophy, there's a lot in that about like how when you seek like strength, like and you fall into vice, it actually masters you, and that's like a form of like weakness, right? Like you are actually being controlled by something. It's not your strength of will. So this mania, this obsession is like a weakness, really, and he sees it as weakness, and dependence on something outside of the self. The other interesting thing too is, and it's gone again. Dang it. Okay, sorry.
I like at the end of that quote where he's like, okay, at the end of the war, like I am gonna rid myself of this. Like he has this hope that there's actually gonna be an end, which I think is cute.
It just came back to me again. You think it's cute? Yeah, and that also is probably done on purpose to add to the tragedy of his early demise. Is that like, oh, you know, it's that guy who's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go home and see my wife after the war. It's like, you're dead, man. You're gonna die. Yeah, but what I was gonna say is that mania and that obsessive is almost like an echo like of OCD or like really compulsive like mental disorders, where it's like it becomes a controlling obsession, which is just an interesting parallel, I find.
Yeah, that the vice is interesting, of how the more vices you have, the less free you are. And some vices you might think it gives you freedom or power or strength, but yeah, it's not.
It becomes dependency and weakness.
Yeah. Lupical says the flesh is weak, but deeds endure, and that was by Vulcan. This is my favorite part. It wasn't even Ferrus that said the flesh is weak originally. Oh man, so like, what's the point of Ferrus, man? It's like the rewrite of him. He doesn't even. Yeah, it's all good. Okay.
I do think there's other factions too that have that same thing though. The Mechanicum definitely has a strong. The flesh is weak. I'm sure there's a quote in there. I don't know that Vulcan might have been the originator of that phrase. Do the Iron Hands have something, or not Iron Hands?
Iron Warriors or
Iron Warriors have
without.
Something similar.
No, it's Iron Within, Iron Without.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing. You're right. I'm not disagreeing.
So the Great Crusade, torn between the cold loyalty owed to the Imperium and the fierce pride he bore for Medusa, Ferrus Manus accepted the burden of command from his father. The 10th Legion took a new name in his image, and the Iron Hands under his rule, they became a war engine of pure function and precision. Their ranks marched at the heart of the 52nd Expeditionary Fleet, spreading the Emperor's dominion with the relentless rhythm of machinery. Where they fought, resistance was shattered, worlds broken and forged in new fires of compliance. From Medusa's tribes came their new recruits, hardened by frost, competition, and survival, tempered by the same harsh discipline that shaped their Primarch. The Iron Hands waged war not only for glory, but for the perfection of mankind. In the galaxy of chaos, they saw weakness as a true enemy, and only unity as the only salvation. Their creed was born from Ferrus's own heart, that flesh failed, that will must be hardened, and that imperfection must be purged from humanity to endure. Across the stars, they brought order through annihilation, the devotion to the imperial truth, as obsolete as the metal in their veins. They culled those who refused compliance without hesitation, believing mercy to be a corruption and faith to be weakness. To follow Ferrus Manus was to serve a god who rejected godhood, a craftsman who sought to perfect a species that could never be perfected. And in pursuit lay both his strength and his tragedy. Yeah. That kind of mindset makes great warriors. Does not make a good civilian population. This like cold, brutal, like uncaring. You just go and annihilate worlds. Like, yeah. But they did a good job in the Great Crusade, and they took a lot of worlds in the Emperor's name. But yeah, they're not like you mentioned, Reboot Gilliman, where they're rebuilding and stuff, or like
Creating
making
a
the world.
civilization. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the Imperial Fists, they went and they did a lot of negotiation. Like they were trying not to lay war first, but yeah, these guys, they would go in and just break it down to the bare minimum of what you need to kind of maintain a world, and then rebuild it as he does with his own world with his legion. And yeah, but it's just cold and not civilian like.
It's not friendly.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder what Ferrus Manus's response would have been had he survived the what was the like imperial cult that started a rising in the Horus heresies? I can't remember.
Yeah, like the video.
Yeah.
Video.
Because he like kind of comes across as very like material,
Atheistic.
all there is stuff, and that even comes across with the body augmentations and whatnot. But yeah, I would just be curious, like, had he survived that long, how he would have responded to that. Would he gone on his own little Great Crusade inside of the Imperial ranks?
He would be hard-headed enough to do it. That would actually be an interesting story, because he would technically be loyal to the Imperium, but
yes,
fighting against what the Imperium has become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alt history. Let's do it.
All right. We'll get to his meeting with his brother Primarch Fulgrim. The Gorgon and the Phoenix. The bond between Ferrus Manus and Fulgrim, the Gorgon and the Phoenician, was forged not in peace, but in the fire and clangor of creation. When the two Primarchs first met beneath Mount Neridonia, the greatest forge of Terra, they recognized in one another a reflection. Two beings of divine design, shaped by artifice and born for perfection. Ferrus toiled among mortal smiths, his liquid metal hands molding steel with unearthly precision, when Fulgrim descended with his Phoenix Guard. The air trembled with expectation, for those who watched believed that gods had come to war. Instead, they came to forge. Fulgrim boasted that he would craft the greatest weapon of the age. Ferrus answered not with anger, but with laughter, cold and sharp as striking iron. Their contest began, weeks of unbroken labor, the forges roaring with the sound of hammers and molten wrath, the air filled with the heat, pride, and the song of creation. When the fires dimmed, their masterpieces stood completed. Forgebreaker, Fulgrim's thunderhammer that could shatter mountains, and Fireblade, Ferrus's golden sword, forever burning with the forge's light. Upon seeing the other's work, both brothers, artists of war and will, laid down their pride. Fulgrim called Ferrus's sword divine. Ferrus named Fulgrim's hammer worthy of gods. They exchanged weapons without a word, and their bond symbolized their unity, would in time become relics of betrayal, proof that even the strongest alloy may crack under the weight of fate. To his brothers and the Imperium, Ferrus was the Gorgon, a name first spoken in jest by Fulgrim, meant to mock his indifference to beauty. Where the Phoenician sought art, Ferrus sought utility. Where Fulgrim saw wonder, Ferrus saw distraction. He accepted the name without protest, for he cared little for what others thought. To him, ugliness was truth. Steel was neither beautiful nor kind, but it endured. He and Fulgrim once stood side by side in the Emperor's light, two perfect beings born to shape the stars. Yet one would burn in pride and the other would break in loyalty. Their friendship, like the weapons they forged, was magnificent, heavy with purpose and destined to strike until it shattered.
Yeah, cool. I feel like you don't get true friendships with the Primarchs, but this is definitely an example. They go crusading together, they kill a bunch of Xenos together, and then they have a cool little like blacksmithing showdown. Create some cool weapons. No better way to bond than doing like that. Yeah.
I actually really
They're
like
both
this.
shirtless out the forge.
Sweating and
Sweating,
manly with their
glistening.
strong hands.
Oh,
Mm.
their strong hands. Yeah.
Makes the greatest Warhammer fan weak in the knees. I do really like their contrasting friendship, because you would think, and kind of like how people thought when they first interacted, it's like, okay, you have the pretty boy who cares about art and beauty, and then you have like the very cold and what's the word I'm looking for? Like, doesn't care for like the extra stuff, right? Like very efficient and cold person coming head to head. They think like, oh man, they're gonna fight, like they're never gonna get along, and they become like actually like best friends, and they admire each other's craftsmanship, because Fulgrim pours like artistry into his forging, right? And Ferrus pours like actual like craftsmanship into his. And yeah, they both end up liking each other's weapons, which is also interesting too, because like weapon style, you would think that like Fulgrim is more the swordsman and Ferrus Manus would be more the hammer, right? But they actually forge the opposite weapon, and then they exchange those weapons.
Yeah, like was there a little part of them that's what they were originally planning on doing? Were they always making the weapon for the other guy? Yeah. It's been so many years. It's been probably 10 years since I read this book, but I do really like reading Fulgrim, and the Iron Hands and Ferrus Manus show up quite a bit in that book. It was pretty good. Just these forging scenes. We get another cool scene in Ferrus Manus's like forge ship later on. That's pretty cool as well.
Did you call it a forge ship?
Yeah, I don't know what.
Oh, I meant like a friendship, like a forge ship, like forged. They forged a friendship, and they call it a forge ship.
No, that's pretty gay. No,
they should call it a friendship ship, or a friend ship.
I hate it. I hate it all.
It's very 40K, don't you think?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the Diasporax persecution. During the waning years of the Great Crusade, the Iron Hands came upon the Diasporax, a wandering fleet of men and Xenos bound together by necessity and shared stars. To them, Ferrus Manus offered the Emperor's truth, a chance for the human among them to sever ties with the alien and join the forge of the Imperium. The offer was refused. In rejection, Ferrus saw corruption. In mercy, weakness. The Iron Hands rendered judgment. For months, their steel-clad fleets hunted the elusive Diasporax. Through the dark, yet the nomads were masters of void warfare. Evading decisive battle and striking back with brutal precision, even crippling the striker cruisers Ferrum. Reinforcements came in the form of the Emperor's children, their bright banners unfurling beside the cold iron of the 10th Legion. Together, the two forces bore down upon the Diasporax with the inevitability of an executioner's blade. But the Diasporax would not flee. Their ships lingered in the light of a dying star, harvesting its fire through the vast solar arrays. Their only means of survival, Ferrus saw this weakness and struck it. The Iron Hands and Emperor's children descended upon those stations, drawing the Diasporax fleet into the open, where annihilation awaited. The midst of the slaughter, Fulgrim's personal vessel, the Firebird, fell under heavy assault. Without hesitation, Ferrus brought the first fist of iron to his brother's aid, interposing his ship between the enemy and the Phoenicians' pride. Fulgrim, shamed by the rescue, sought redemption in blood. He led his warriors in a savage boarding action, cutting down the Diasporax in the storming of blades. Yet, when victory was stolen from his grasp by a subordinate, bitterness festered. Ferrus's loyalty, once a bond of brotherhood, became in Fulgrim's eyes an insult, a wound to his pride. The Gorgon's blunt words, meant to humble, were taken as scorn, and under the whispering corruption of his demonic blade, Fulgrim's admiration curdled into envy. What Ferrus had offered as sacrifice, Fulgrim remembered as arrogance. Thus began the slow unraveling of a friendship once tempered in steel, now fractured beyond repair. And this is kind of interesting. This is maybe the seeds of heresy that started in Fulgrim himself, as he would be one of the leaders of the Horus heresies.
Yeah, it's too bad that this happened to them. Friendship was not, in fact, magic in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been reading this book. This might be a little rant, but I've been applying some knowledge. I've been reading this book talking about different personality types, and there's 4 different personality types. And they allot them into colors where, if you're red, you're usually more like commanding, go-getter, kind of like an A-type personality, and then if you're a yellow, you're sociable and you want to talk to people. If you're blue, you're an internal thinker. If you're green, you kind of just want to be left alone. And I was just like, I've been categorizing not only people in my own life in this, but I'm categorizing some Primarchs. And Ferrus Manus seems like this blue, like this internal thinker. He's going to think out every little detail before he enacts any plan. And then Fulgrim's a classic yellow, where he's like this social type. He's like the life of the party, like very sociable. In that book, they talk about the worst thing to do to a yellow is embarrass him. And that's pretty much what happened here with Fulgrim, where Ferrus Manus embarrassed him. He saved him, which was an embarrassment, and then that just started to fester in him. He couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle people looking at him like he was like not perfect or something. So good writing there with character development and just how people can kind of just break and why. We'll go to the next and final little bit of the Great Crusade, the conquest of 1544. The campaign upon this world designated 1544 was meant to be another hammer blow of the Great Crusade, a conquest waged by the Iron Hands of the 154th Expeditionary Fleet, with the Death Guard and the Salamanders beside them. In truth, it was a snare, woven by the Elder not to destroy, but to warn. Beneath alien skies amidst jungle slick with toxic rain, they fought to foretell Ferrus Manus of his own death, of Fulgrim's betrayal, and the iron tragedy that would one day unfold upon Istvan V. The Iron Hands advanced with the cold precision of the machinery, their Morlocks, which are like their Terminator specialists, pressing deep into the wilderness where the Elder specters and chitinous slave be struck from the midst and vanished again. Human regiments faltered, their flesh too weak for the world's poisons, and were abandoned to rot where they fell. Then came the calamity, the Gorgon ensnared within the psychic labyrinth of the shimmering lies. There he beheld the omens of ruin. A vast serpent of violent scale coiled around his destiny. When the Elder bent the storm itself to their will, lightning-seared circuitry and the Iron Hands augmetic screamed and failed. Fatherless, their ranks were assailed by the enemies spilling from the webway gate, and they still fought, mute and relentless. At last, Ferrus Manus broke his cage of thought and fury, shattered the Elder's illusions. Rejecting their prophecy, he rallied his sons and razed the gate to molten ruin. The Xenos fled, their mission undone, their warning unheeded. Elsewhere, upon the same world, the Salamanders met the people who lived between the human and the Elder, primitive yet defiant. Vulcan, led by a phantom of the Emperor's own design, beheld a cruel tableau? What is that word? Tableau. A Dark Elder captive marked for sacrifice by terrified humans who once were slaves of Nocturne, now the spawn of nigh impossible kinship. Realizing they would never bow to the Imperial truth, Vulcan ordered their cleansing, erasing every trace of their hybrid presence. And thus, while one Primarch rejected the Elder's warning, another obliterated its consequence. 2 brothers, each blind to the sorrow of their own strength, and their own strength would sow. Yeah, the Elder trying to warn. They tried to even warn Fulgrim too at one point. They tried to warn a couple of them in a couple different ways, and it never seems to take. The Primarchs just turn angry and violent.
As you should when you see a Xenos.
I suppose, yes. Just doing what they're made
What
to do.
what other appropriate response is there really? Come on.
Yeah. And I think that's where we leave it for the Great Crusade aspect of it. Things have pushed forward. He's been around for 200 years, crusading. World after world falls to him. The other Primarchs respect him. He has a friend, although that friend no longer likes him as much. And he's getting visions of his own death, which is pretty common in 40K. I feel like a lot of Primarchs see their own death coming. I wonder if that means anything or that's just the way they've been written. But
yeah. Is there any talk of any kind of psychic ability in Ferrus Manus?
they say all of them have psychic
Something.
ability, yeah. And like maybe his psychic ability is like some type of like engineering techno
Wizard.
wizard. Yeah, I know there's a branch of that category I could look up.
Technomancy.
It might just be called technomancy, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Well, let's get into the mind of Ferrus and get into that head of his.
Wait, what color is Ferrus again?
I would say he's a blue. He's a cold, logical thinker.
Let's get into that blue personality of his.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I love calling
No,
people reds. Like, oh, that's such a fucking red thing to do.
Stop it. I hate all these personality things.
Yeah,
Anyways,
Christian hates when I read. He wants me to just
I told you to burn the books, Mark. You idiot.
you fucking idiot.
All right. Well, let's get into his personality, and hopefully, we won't get too lost in that head of his. On Medusa, Ferrus Manus was a figure forged in iron and resolve, a living echo of the planet itself. He was unyielding, austere, and exacting, shaped by the harsh, unrelenting crucible of the world he would come to call his own. There was no warmth in sentiment, only the steady, unbreakable drive to impose order upon chaos, to shape the raw and dangerous into something of purpose and utility. His mind was a workshop of precision and logic, capable of dissecting problems with cold clarity, yet beneath the surface lurked a solemn empathy for strength and endurance, the quiet acknowledgement of merit wherever it was found, even in the unlikeliest of forms. He regarded the primitive nomadic Medusans not worthy of cruelty, but with an industrial patience, seeing in their struggle a mirror of the relentless machine of fate itself. Every action he took was measured, every judgment deliberate. He embodied the principle that greatness is not given, but forged in suffering and labor, or in other words, earned. Among his legion, Ferrus Manus was both inspiration and a movable anchor. He demanded loyalty and excellence, yet led with certainty born from intimate understanding of his warrior's capacities. His presence was imposing, a constant reminder of the weight of duty, but also of the potential within each hand-forged soldier to ascend to feats of unyielding power. He valued skill above all, and while his temperament could be austere, it fostered respect rather than fear. His men recognized that their Primarch judged fairly, albeit with the uncompromising rigor of tempered steel. In moments of counsel or combat, his decisions were swift, precise, and unhesitating, an extension of the iron resolve he carried from Medusa. Yet beneath his stoicism, there burned a deep-seated drive to see his sons excel, to ensure that the legacy of strength and craftsmanship he had inherited from his world would endure across the galaxy, immortalized in the deeds of the Iron Hands. So yeah, I mean, like, we've pretty much been touching on his personality throughout the whole episode. It pretty much matches up with how his world is very, yeah, not a lot to delve into there, but yeah, he is like that cold analytical thinker, and very decisive and like unchanging in his mind. What else? He
like what's it when you stick to your morals? Like he's got like that, like he's
uncompromising.
That's a good one. Yeah, he would be uncompromised. And like you guys were kind of joking with that alt history, like he would come back and he would be loyal to the Imperium and fight the Imperium because he's like, no, this isn't what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I genuinely think he would do that. Like he would be the type of any of the Primarchs. He would be one that would be uncompromising on what the Imperium actually was supposed to be.
Yeah,
in the Emperor's vision.
Going back to psychic powers real quick, it is called technomancy, the psychic discipline concerning manipulation of machines by a psyker. It provides abilities to commune with or attack machine spirits. Enemies of the psyker will find enemies fail, weapons fail, whatever. There's some other shit there, but it does name some notable technomancers: the Emperor, the Iron Hands Librarian, Goivois Koi. How would you even say that word? That's just fuck. Come join the chat to look at how you spell that. But Ferrus Manus isn't on there, but I think he's probably a very good technomancer candidate, and maybe it just was never said. Like they talk about him like looking at machines and understanding them, and opening them up and communing with them, and like
just knowing inherently how they work. Yeah.
So I'd say that would be his power.
Yeah. On unrelated note, just talking about his title of Gorgon. I was just thinking, I always knew he was called the Gorgon, and I never mentally connected that his homeworld was Medusa. So in Greek mythology, of course, Medusa is a Gorgon. And then that like Fulgrim gave him that title because it kind of described like the ugliness of not appreciating art or culture and things like that.
Yeah.
And then the Morlocks, his honor guard, those come from H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. And they're like underground dwelling monsters. They're like a devolved form of human, but yeah, still that kind of like mythical monster type archetype, just kind of running through the Legion.
Yeah, like even like his hands of iron are almost hands of stone. You know, they're that gray. And if you look pictures of artwork, it's more muted necessarily than like a super shiny silver in all the ones I see. But yeah, Medusa, you know, they turn things to stone, so there's even that little bit, like got stone hands, but yeah. Up next, we'll talk a little bit more about his
The Dauntless.
personality. Yeah, the Dauntless Few. This is another one of those additions that they added. Like, it's one of those things you never hear about, and then all of a sudden, Ferrus Manus is the best. He's a part of the Dauntless Few. We've done an episode on Rolgadorn, Sanguinius, Layman, and Russ, and not once did the Dauntless Few come up with those three. But sure shit, it comes up with Ferrus Manus. So tell us about it.
So it was a designation forged by Reboot Gilliman to describe those four Primarch brothers whose steadfastness he trusted above all others. In the calculus of war, when he considered the deployment of one or more legions alongside his Ultramarines, Gilliman's strategies invariably leaned on the unyielding discipline and certainty these brothers embodied. Knowing their presence could turn the tide of battle with grim efficiency. The Dauntless Few were A. Rolgadorn of the Imperial Fist, B. Sanguinius of the Blood Angels, C. Layman Russ of the Space Wolves, and D. Ferrus Manus of the Iron Hands. Of the remaining Primarchs, Gilliman held Jagati Khan in high regard for his skill and vision, yet he could not trust the Khan's unpredictability or reliance. In the cold logic of strategy, Gilliman calculated that any campaign undertaken with the Ultramarines, reinforced by one of the Dauntless Few's legions, could be executed to near certainty of victory, regardless of the strength or cunning of the opposition. Quote, "And of them, Manus was the key, implacable, unshakable. If he was at your side, he would never break." End quote. Reboot Gilliman about his brother Ferrus Manus. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what a quote that is. Implacable. Fuck, I can't even say it. And unplacable, unshakable. Yeah, very cool. He's got some high, lofty praise from Reboot Gilliman there. Did you ever read about this before, Christian? You ever heard about the Dauntless Few?
No, I've never heard of it before. Do you know when it was created?
No Fear.
Really? Because I read No Fear. Must have totally like.
I think it was just one of those little tiny things that they
just mention it in passing and like
no
real.
Unless
you're absolutely obsessed with Warhammer 40k and it dominates your entire life, you would just forget about reading it in the novel 10 years ago. Clearly, I'm not fit to be on this podcast.
No, but I still like you. It's fine. The other thing I wrote down, I kind of already talked about it, was I couldn't find the source, but Horus wanting Manus to be the War Master. I think earlier in the chat somebody mentioned what book that was in, or kind of expanded on that a little bit. But yeah, I'm sure there was that where, you know, they were just amping him up that little bit more. And maybe it was just like after his death had happened, and I forget exactly, and maybe it was like they were trying to, like, you know, just speak highly of their dead brother. That's also a possibility, but I don't quite recall where it was placed.
I don't think someone as like not charismatic as Ferrus Manus could be a leader.
Yeah, you know, that's great. Like, yeah, War Master is not just a position of war.
Yeah, like you have to have like such vision, and really people have to look up to you. And yeah, they might respect you, but like, do they love you? It's not, you can't just be respected.
Yeah.
I dare argue, but I would say I get very strong Soviet Union vibes from the Iron Hands. You know, like Stalinists, you know, man of iron kind of stuff. In which case, I think that's the shape that the Imperium would take, is like a very like hard, unmerciful, bleak, but like functional in the sense of like brutal, like brutally functional war machine. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah. Not the Empire the Emperor wanted, for sure.
No, I don't think. Exactly. Like, it wouldn't be built for civilization and society to flourish. It would be like this functional, bleak existence.
So he might like 40K then, actually. He's like, yeah,
I like your aesthetics. You just got to drop the religious stuff.
That's funny. His appearance. Unarmored, Ferrus Manus was a monument of unyielding resolve, a man whose very presence seemed carved from the cold stone and iron of Medusa itself. His body was a testament to endurance and labor, lean and powerful. Even without the trappings of war, he exuded an authority born of experience and uncompromising principle. A figure whose will alone could shape those around him. His hands, cold and metal, were as much tools of creation as they were instruments of discipline, capable of both building and breaking with equal certainty. Encased in the iron carapace of his war armor, Ferrus Manus became a living engine of battle, a synthesis of flesh and machine honed for war. The armor bore the marks of countless campaigns, each dent and scorched a testament to survival and purpose. Within this suit, his movements were both precise and relentless, an extension of his indomitable will. The cold gleam of polished metal mirrored the stoicism of his mind. His presence on the battlefield was both awe-inspiring and merciless, a reminder that the strength of a man, when tempered by iron, could become absolute. Even as he fought alongside his legion, he remained a solitary pillar of resolve. The embodiment of tragic inevitability, carrying the weight of duty, expectation, and the ceaseless demand for perfection in every calculated strike. There's a little bit there. His body is a testament to endurance and labor, lean and powerful. It's said that he's one of the strongest Primarchs, too. Another little fucking thing they threw in there just to kind of appease people for killing them. Yeah, apparently he's one of the strongest. So, and maybe it's because he's got iron hands and can literally like just crush other Primarchs, or I don't know. But
I will say that one of can, like, in a group of 21 might, you know, like, is that one of the 5 top, one of the 10th top, right? Like, that's vague enough that you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Because it's also why
is this just like, though, he could win in an arm wrestle, or is this like there's something
yeah
more
not on
strength?
Yeah, no, I think it's just straight brute strength.
Okay.
Because it's also so the Vulcan is the strongest, like physically strongest of them.
Yeah.
Right.
But then you also, like, being strong doesn't necessarily mean like the best fighter, the, you know. there's all kinds of like factors. The most skilled fighter. He's got exceptional strength, judging from his Lexicanum article. Also talking about his appearance there, Mark, while you're searching what you're searching. Or are you just looking for a picture?
I was trying to find that strength part, but maybe it's somewhere else.
Yeah, I was just gonna comment quickly on his model from Forge World. It's a pretty cool model, actually. I quite like it. And I think it's very similar to the cover art of the Fulgrim novel, if I'm not mistaken. They have like he's one of two with Fulgrim where they're like dueling. So they can like stand alone or like be put side by side, where they're like facing off, just like the cover. I love his pose, actually. I want to do something with it.
Yeah, very dynamic for sure.
Yeah, and then there he's wielding the hammer, a Fulgrim's hammer. You can tell with like the artistry on it, like with the wings and stuff. And he's got like a backpack that's almost like a tech marine, like all these like weapons and machines and things just hanging on his back there.
We do talk about his armor later in this episode with a little more detail of what's actually on it. Okay.
And then really quick, everyone wants to know, is his wiener also covered in metal? We haven't been measuring Primarch dick size, so I'm just curious if that's something we can start.
Yeah,
to the script here.
I think so. We all got our 6-inch measuring tape for playing tabletop. I think we can get some precise measurements here. I don't know what we're gonna do with them, but we're gonna compile them and give them to Christian.
Well-endowed Primarch.
Oh man.
Yeah. Anyways, moving into his war gear, which arguably his wiener could be counted amongst. His Medusan carapace. The Medusan carapace was not merely armor, but a furnace-born testament to Ferrus Manus' relentless will, a living engine of iron and endurance. Every plate, piston, and circuit was the echo of his ceaseless pursuit of perfection. He was never content, forever reforging his work in the fires of his own doubt, testing new forms of strength until metal itself seemed to bend in reverence to his hand. From these tireless labors emerged designs that would shape the legions to come, such as the early Cataphracti Terminator armor born from his experiments. The Medusan carapace stood as their grim pinnacle, a shell of adamant with servo systems that moved like muscle and heart that hummed with restrained violence. It bore within it the means of both creation and annihilation, a plasma blaster, graviton gun, grenade harness, and heavy flamer, each a tool of the Great Crusade's merciless purpose. Fuzz in the chat says his wiener is the true Gorgon. Yes,
yes it is.
And it turns itself to stone. Okay, anyways, we're done. Yeah, kind of like the list of weapons is like kind of describing them all on his back, almost like a tech marine. All that list of different war gear. It's interesting. I didn't realize that he created Cataphracti armor.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool. You can see on his armor, I'll try to see if I can pull up a better picture of his shoulder pads, the way they're like layered up.
Yeah, they look like Cataphracti armor.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense that he's like, constantly reworking his armor, and he creates kind of a new armor set. And Cataphracti armor is, again, for those unfamiliar with Cataphracti Terminator armor, it's like very strong armor.
Yeah, the best Terminators. Let's pull up a picture real quick. Oh yeah, look at that guy.
Yeah.
Not beautiful. I've always kind of not liked that one out of all the Terminators. Not that I don't like it. It's just not my favorite.
It's your least favorite of the Terminators. Yeah.
That's the way to say that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool though.
All right. And then getting into his hammer that we mentioned, Forge Breaker. The Forge Breaker, his Warhammer, was the Warhammer of Warhammer 40k, arguably, was a weapon as symbolic as it was devastating, a relic forged in friendship and doomed by betrayal. Crafted by Fulgrim, once his brother and peer in mastery, it embodied both the fire of creation and the shadow of ruin. In Ferrus's hands, the hammer sang of order and strength, its every strike shaping the destiny of worlds. Yet in time, it would be turned against its maker, its craftsmanship tainted by the heresy of its creator. The weapon endured long after its wielder fell, a relic of broken brotherhood and smoldering regret. Like the Primarch who bore it, the Forge Breaker was a paradox, beautiful, terrible, and forged to outlast flesh. So yeah, I kind of spoke to its design. It does look kind of fulgrim-esque with like the wings on it and stuff.
Yeah.
Not something you would think that Ferrus Manus would have created.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the some of the other creations. Ferrus Manus was a master of iron and flame, a craftsman whose mind worked with the precision of a machine and the patience of a slow-burning forge. Every device he touched, every mechanism he shaped, bore the mark of meticulous thought and relentless refinement, as though the act of creation itself demanded the same unyielding rigor that governed his spirit. He saw the world as a lattice of cogs, circuits, and potential energy, and his hands, scarred and calloused, could coax life from cold steel and hardened alloy alike. In his tinkering, there was no frivolity, only purpose. Every hammer strike, every adjustment, every alignment was a meditation on order, efficiency, and perfection. Even amid the chaos of war, Ferrus Manus could withdraw into the sanctity of his work, forging instruments of destruction or devices of wonder with equal solemnity, as though shaping matter itself could stave off the entropy and sorrow that haunted the universe around him.
Yeah, many different cool gadgets. Lots never even seen the light of day. But many did, and some were gifts. Some still exist even in 40k, some of these things, such as the Fireblade for Fulgrim. The Fireblade burns with the perfection only its master could appreciate. Its edge honed to a flawlessness that mirrors Fulgrim's own obsession with beauty and supremacy. Each strike carries both elegance and inevitability, a weapon as much a statement of artistry as of war. In battle, it sears through both armor and spirit, leaving devastation as precise and deliberate as the hand that wields it. Yeah, so that will come up again in future episodes. Same with the hammer. Those two weapons are kind of, their fates are tied, just like the Primarchs who made them. Then we got the Dragon Maw Bolter for Vulcan. The Dragon Maw Bolter is a vessel of relentless fire, its barrel shaped like a snarling dragon's maw, a fearsome visage that announces death before it arrives. Each shell it fires strikes with the weight of molten judgment, forged to match Vulcan's unyielding strength and endurance. In his hands, the weapon becomes more than a gun. It is an extension of wrath, a mechanized predator bringing ruin with the inevitability of a falling stone. Yeah, cool. I think there's artwork of that, of Vulcan actually wielding this gun and stuff, so you can go look at that too. And he does a bunch of different prototype war gear. Prototype war gear exists in many forms, sprawling collections of ingenuity, both realized and abandoned. Some pieces see the light of day, tested and tempered in the crucible of battle, while countless others linger in the shadowed workshops, unfinished or discarded. Their potential lost to time and circumstance. Each design carries the weight of a possibility and peril, and a reminder that creation is never guaranteed to endure, and that even the most brilliant innovation may falter before it can shape the world. Yeah, so one of these prototypes that gets more mass produced is, like we said, that Cataphracti Terminator armor for sure. And yeah, that's where we're gonna leave it with Ferrus Manus. We got the Cold Forge Master, who's likes making weapons and killing Xenos, and he goes to planets and he doesn't really make them better. He just makes them more like him, just kind of cold and built towards war.
As we should all be and aspire towards.
Yeah. What kind of war do we want to get into, though? Do we want to do Civil War, World War III? What are we into?
All of the above.
All of it. Yes, one great war. Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, that's 40k. Endless war. Any other thoughts on it? On fucking Ferrus Manus there?
Honestly, a little bit dry.
Yeah.
I'm not like head over heels for this guy.
Yeah, like they killed him too soon without giving him anything cool, and then everything cool they tried to give him, I feel just falls short.
Yeah,
I always have the opposite take as you guys. I become endeared towards.
Really?
That's because you are a blue Christian.
He has a tism like I. No,
Yes, he does.
no,
He can break
actually
people into 4 different types: tisms, retarded, gays, and me.
those are the colors. No, okay. I never really actually cared for the Iron Hands before a lot because I never liked the whole hand amputation aspect of it and like the cybernetic side of it. Like it just never, that aesthetic never really appealed to me. But knowing now that Ferrus didn't even like it either, like I'm like, okay, yeah, we're on the same page here. And also
I hate myself. He hates himself.
Yeah.
Blue's doing blue.
Yeah. He also like I like that whole like the admiration of strength. Him, Mortarion, and the Death Guard. Like I like that kind of plain, the Iron Warriors too, that like plainness of some of the chapters. I really do enjoy that aesthetic as well as like the Fulgrim, ostentatious, like colorful. I like both extremes. So
yeah, you get like the super nitty gritty and then the more like fanciful rule of cool.
Yeah. So I like them. I like their practicality, their worship of strength. Like I'm into that. So
yeah. I don't know. He strikes sort of a single note to me. So
you mean the guy with iron hands called Iron Hands is all about just iron hands? Yeah.
I am legitimate. The one fun thing to me would be like an alt history. How would he respond in the Horus Heresy? Like, what would he do? That would be interesting. Because I'm not familiar with the Iron Hands. Like, what happens to them in the 41st millennium? They like become full on cybernetics. Is that kind of the idea?
That's
like they
their
get
end goal. Yeah.
So he in an alt history he survives and he kill his own legion?
Yeah, does a purge on his own legion. Yeah, after he cuts off his own hand. No, he cuts his hands off after he purges
at the very end. Yeah. And also you can blame his hands for being covered in the blood of his own children. So like there's a whole poetic thing to it. I think I mentioned this in maybe the Imperial Fists episode. While I'm opposed to bringing Primarchs back, especially dead ones, I did talk briefly about how if I brought back Rogel Dorn, I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast or if just privately to you, Mark.
You did, and I really liked it, but tell us again.
Yeah, so if Rogel Dorn comes back, because his death is left kind of vague, like we actually don't know if Rogel Dorn is dead or not. They just found his disembodied hand. But with that whole missing hands theme, that Rogel Dorn would come back with cybernetic hands, and then the Iron Hands would end up worshipping Rogel Dorn as like almost a avatar of Ferrus Manus. And then Rogel Dorn
the hands.
Yeah, exactly. And Rogel Dorn would be wearing all black. He'd have like a very Darth Vader aesthetic in my mind. Because you've got Black Templars, right? Like it still exists there for the Imperial Fists.
Yeah.
And but then he would unify both chapters. So you'd have like the Imperial Fist and the Iron Hands, and they'd become like the Iron Fists or the Imperial Hands or something, some merger of the two. And black and yellow is a cool color aesthetic. So
yes,
yeah, right.
If only we got the job when we applied for
Lore
Masters at GW. But fuck,
can you imagine bringing back freaking Rogel Dorn like that? Oof, new model. Oh my gosh,
I would have to kill you, but it would be okay. Like
it'd have to happen eventually.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch more Ferrus Manus stuff in the next episode. We're gonna really talk more about like if they bring him back. It almost seems like they're leaning in that direction. I don't want to say too much, but the next episode we're gonna get into all those kind of theories and how they're gonna do it and all that kind of fun stuff. Hand check, Christian. Chat's asking you for a hand check after your Imperial Fists, your iron. Yeah, there they are.
I already chopped them off.
Well, hold on. I wanted to get into this. I wanted to get into this very quickly. Do they leave any door open for a resurrection or a return from the dead?
There are whispers in the warp of his return.
Of course.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't there be?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to spoil the next episode, but yeah, it definitely seems like if I had money, I'd be putting it down that they're trying to bring him back. They're trying to bring Sanguinius back in much the same way. Like they both have this like warp ghost that they keep talking about for both these guys, and It's no good. It's no good. What do you do? Yeah, I guess you just can't get head from Ferrus Manus. You go to bed and get head from your wife, I guess, is all you can do.
Well, you definitely wouldn't want a hand job from him.
No, you would not. No. Oh, mangled. He's mangling it.
You ever put your wiener in a potato peeler?
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. That's fucked. I love it. Let's linger in the thought of cock together, the three of us. Yeah, cool. Well, that's an episode of Lorehammer. Some end of show shout outs. Next episode, part 2 of Ferrus Manus. But you can also come check out Lorehammer Listener Lore while you wait for that one to come out.
And as I mentioned earlier in the show, if you like Star Wars, come listen to me and Jordan wax poetic about Star Wars on the Star Lores podcast.
Yes. And if you want to come visit me on my island, that's also cool. And we'll talk 40K. But we'll see you all on the next episode. If not, adios and have a good one.